G'day there folks, Connor here again, and we're back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe and all that stuff, and let's get straight into it. Okie dokie, we're on relationships. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Me with my husband. I discovered he hired an escort while I was in the hospital. I'll make this as short as I can while adding all relevant info. Me and my husband have been married for 2 years. We were together for 2 years before that. For the most part, it seemed like everything has been great. We both work a lot, but we made our relationship work. Over the summer, I was admitted to the hospital for surgery on my colon. Because of complications after my surgery, I was stuck in the hospital for over a month. Once I got home, it took me some time to recover and get back to how I was physically before my surgery. During this time, we didn't really have much sex. I was in too much pain and couldn't do too much physically, though I did try and satisfy him orally. This was tough on both of us because we were both used to frequent sex. He did express his frustration more than once, but I thought we'd done a good job communicating and working through it. We're back to a normal routine now, and I honestly thought the hospital bills were going to be more stress on both of us than this. Well, Saturday night, my husband went out with one of our friends, Greg. Greg's wife, another one of our mutual friends, just had a baby around Thanksgiving and was stuck in the hospital because the baby was born too early and needed to be in an incubator. Greg had been really stressed lately, and so my husband took him out for a drink to just get out and de-stress. Greg called me yesterday. Apparently they got really drunk and started talking about how Greg wouldn't be having sex for a while. And my husband said that he could always hire an escort, and that my husband did that when I was in the hospital. Greg just went along with it, but at the time, he thought he should tell me. I didn't really trust Greg at first and thought he might have misheard or was lying, but why would he even lie about that anyway? I went through all our old credit card statements and financials and found a large cash withdrawal around the time I was in the hospital. That still didn't mean much, so I asked my husband about it and lied and said I was getting stuff together to talk to a financial advisor. He said that he had to pay for a car repair in cash because our card wasn't working, but it was working fine everywhere else. I just don't know if I believe that, especially because we always use the same place for our car repairs and we've always used the same card for it. I could contact them, but I have no idea if they'd remember. This is just all so confusing. I can't believe he'd cheat on me like that. We were planning on trying for a baby soon, but I don't want to bring a pregnancy into this if he's cheating on me. I just don't know what to do from here. Oh man, not good. You might be able to confront him about it, or, call the car place and verify that. Let's go to the comments. Man, Greg is a good guy. Please get an STI screening. Lots of escorts are safe in their behaviours, but some aren't. And if your husband has done this once, there's no telling what else he might have done when given the opportunity. Please don't try for a baby. Having a kid makes you very vulnerable, emotionally and physically and financially, and if you can't trust this guy, that's a really bad road to take. She replies, yeah, I figured the baby thing needs to stop. I didn't even think about STIs, thank you. I would have been even more vulnerable post-surgery too. Please believe Greg. He has nothing to gain from lying to you. He's a good guy who's willing to put his social peace on the line in order to stand up for what is right. And you didn't go wrong anywhere. Some people have that ability to forget their conscience and morality like that. Those people don't take others into consideration like they should, and that character flaw is entirely their own. No one makes anyone cheat. It's something people choose to do. I would contact the repair place and try to verify that way. If they did work on his car, they should have a record of it, even if he paid in cash. If they don't have a record of it, I would confront him. I would also get tested for STDs in the meantime. I'm sorry, OP, what a piece of crap. She replies, okay, thanks. I wasn't sure if they would have a record if you paid in cash. I just can't believe he would do something like that. Ask him for the paperwork from the car repairs, and then leave his cheating ass. You deserve someone who treats your absence in the hospital as the temporary loss of a life partner, not the temporary loss of his sweet, sweet piece of ass. Is this a thing? Guys asking their hospitalized wives to give them blowjobs? Is this a submissive thing? Giving in to your husband's demands even when you're injured? When my wife was hospitalized, sex was the last thing on my mind. Yeah, 100%. Okay, onto an update. 5 days later. Hello everyone. I was going to update this last night, but then I got drunk and forgot. Thank you for all the wonderful replies. I was so overwhelmed I stopped responding. I thought I should address some questions and concerns before moving on with the update. For those of you talking about bro code, it wouldn't apply here. Greg and Emily were my best friends before I even met my husband. I knew them both in college. I was actually a bridesmaid at their wedding and the godmother of their newest baby, and the reason I didn't go out for drinks with them was because I was watching their 2 other children. So it would be like breaking bro code if Greg didn't tell me, kind of. On to the update. I stopped by the car repair place we always go to, and the one he said he used when I was in the hospital. They had no record of working on our car at that time, not even a tyre change or oil change or axle adjustment or anything. So my husband was definitely lying about it because they said at that price they'd always have some sort of record. I went to confront him the other night. Long story short, he didn't deny any of it. He wasn't sorry about it either. He fessed up to hiring the escort and to having sex with her. He said it wasn't cheating because it was a service, not like he fell in love with another woman. It was just sex to him. I also asked him about STIs and he said he didn't even think of that. So off I go to get tested because of my husband's stupidity and cheating. I should say my future ex-husband though. I cannot trust him, and the fact that he didn't think he did anything wrong disgusts me. Once he knew that I knew, he wasn't even defensive anymore. He wasn't sad or angry, he just seemed like he didn't even care. Like he was apathetic about our whole marriage. Everything I thought I knew about him was wrong, and I'm trying to figure out how he tricked me so well. I called a divorce lawyer, and I'm currently staying in our guest room because I don't even want to look at him. I'm going to see the lawyer next Wednesday and figure out where to go from there. Oh, also, I got Greg a thank you gift. He's now subscribed to Meat of the Month for the whole year. Thanks for all your support through this, guys. One comment says, "Oh damn, I'm sorry. I can't believe he was so devil may care about it. I'd want to punch him in the face just so he'd have some reaction. The apathy would drive me crazy. It makes you wonder why someone would get married if they care so little. Good luck with everything. I'm sure you'll find someone else and have the life you wanted." She says, "I think he did love me once, but I just don't think monogamy and marriage is for him, I guess. He just didn't care anymore." Wow, he wasn't even upset at the prospect of divorce? What a catch. Ugh. Maybe you should strongly suggest he find another place to live. You shouldn't be the one in the guest room. She says, "It's our house, and he refuses to sleep elsewhere, and it's not like I can throw him out. So instead of stressing about it and let him get to me, I'd rather just sleep in the guest room. Our dog still cuddles up with me anyway." I'm just mentally stalled on Greg getting a Meat of the Month subscription out of this. We are all Team Greg. If my wife was hospitalized, suffering from complications and in a bad way, I'm certain I'd not be demanding blowies because that is contextually weird and selfish, nor would I be hiring escorts with our pooled money. What a scumbag. Yeah, you can 100% tell that he seriously pressured her into those BJs. Doubtless he was whining or pouting or getting pissed off that his wife was too ill to bang. What an insufferable a-hole. Opie's colon surgery leads to getting rid of a massive crap. Honestly, alarm bells started ringing as soon as she talks about how it was frustrating for him. He should not be making that her problem while she's recovering from something that landed her in the hospital for an entire month. Yeah, good riddance to this prick. Anyway guys, that's it for that story. As always, give me your thoughts below, and we'll move straight on to the next. Okay, still on relationship advice. This one was written by user Ditched and Ignored, and it's titled, "My boyfriend of 10 months ditched me on our date." So last night, my boyfriend and I were meant to go on a date, but it ended up turning into a sort of group thing with mutual friends. I was disappointed, seeing as we've barely had alone time and haven't had a date in over 2 weeks. My boyfriend reassured me that he'll still make sure a part of it was a date for us, and that it will be fun, so I thought, why not? And we headed off to the pub. Things were going great for the most part, but about 1 hour in, I had to go to the bathroom. The pub was busy and there was a line in the girls' bathroom, so I waited, and I was in and out in about 10 minutes. Well, when I left the bathroom, I couldn't see my boyfriend or our friends anywhere, so I looked for them and I still couldn't find them. I checked my phone and there were no texts from any of them, so I went to the bartender and just asked him if he saw them leave. He said they told him to let me know they left to go to a club, but he couldn't remember which one. I assume the club we planned to go to. Anyway, I was real hurt by this. I was only gone 10 minutes, so they could have easily waited. And to make things worse, my boyfriend was the one who drove me there, so I either had the option to walk in the middle of the night by myself to get to the club or call for an Uber, which I did. While I waited for the Uber, I shot my boyfriend a text asking him why he didn't wait for me and if they were at the club, but he didn't reply. I even sent a text to my best friend, but she didn't reply either. I called them as well, and again, neither of them answered. Anyway, it took a while for my Uber to arrive, and by this point I was tired, and my boyfriend and my best friend still hadn't answered, so I just ended up going home. I showered, cooked myself some food, and then got ready for bed. By this time, it had been around an hour since I'd left the club, and my boyfriend still hadn't replied to any of my texts or answered my calls. I was getting worried that maybe something happened, so I called him again. No answer. I called my best friend, no answer, and I ended up calling 2 other people there, and again, no answer. I ended up going on Facebook and saw one of the friends I'd called had uploaded photos of all of them at a totally different club, not the one we planned to go to. I was so hurt and angry at this point, I just sent my boyfriend a text, basically telling him that how horrible it was for him not even to send me a text to let me know where they went, and I told him that for future reference, not to drag me along somewhere just to ditch me by myself and not even bother to wait for me or even call me to make sure I'm okay. At this point, it really hit me how messed up all of this was. Not only did they all ditch me, they went to a different club, so if I had went to the club we originally planned to go to, I'd be looking for them all night. It also really pissed me off that I was gone for over an hour and my boyfriend wasn't worried about me at all. Wouldn't most people be worried that they left their partner at a pub and hadn't seen them in an hour? If situations were reversed, I would have checked my phone and called because I would have been worried. So I ended up going to bed, and when I woke up, my phone was flooded with text from my boyfriend. He apologized, saying the bartender was meant to tell me where they went and they couldn't hear the phones in the club. I replied back to him saying how messed up it was that he'd left me and how thoughtless he was by not even sending me a text. I told him it was ridiculous for him to rely on a bartender who was extremely busy to tell me something he should have told me himself. He texted again telling me he's sorry, that he didn't mean to ditch me, as well as a bunch of other excuses and apologies, but honestly, they just annoyed me more. Now I'm not sure if I'm overreacting and making a big deal out of nothing. I'm also not sure if I should sort this out with my boyfriend and forgive him for this, or if I should just dump him. I'd really appreciate any advice. Wow, yeah, no, that'd be over for me as well. The fact that he didn't even check his phone at all, what a prick. Let's go to the comments. You're not overreacting. What they did was unbearably rude and inconsiderate. You may want to rethink your choice of boyfriend and best friend. Man, I would dump them all. What the F? She says, I'm seeing him tonight and giving him a chance to explain in person, but I'm pretty certain that I'm going to end the relationship. I don't even see what explanation could make this okay. Like for real, if they were going to the hospital, okay, but they were clubbing and abandoned you. That is absolutely ridiculous behavior. I guess maybe if things have been completely perfect until now, then maybe you guys can get past it, but most reasonable people would be frickin' done after something like that. She replies, things haven't been that perfect. I had problems with one of his female friends making very passive-aggressive comments towards me, and he would just downplay them or get annoyed when I defended myself. He also told her something private about me that I told him in confidence, but this happened early on in the relationship. I think I'm definitely done. It sucks, but I don't think I can forgive him for what he did. Yeah, and an update the next day. I've been texting one of my friends that was there last night, and she admitted that they all ditched me on purpose. They all decided at the pub that they wanted to do some hard drugs, and they thought I'd kill the mood and that I'd be uncomfortable, so rather than doing the decent thing and giving me a heads up, they decided to completely ditch me and ignore me. Rather than wait to see him tonight, I called my boyfriend to see if he would admit to it, and he did. He said they were doing me a favor, and he knows I have a bad family history with drugs. 3 family members died from overdoses, which I still think is a poor excuse for what they did. They could have just been honest with me rather than basically abandoning me at the pub. I also asked him why did he ignore me, and he just said he wanted to enjoy himself without feeling guilty. He kept apologizing, but I was just done at that point. I broke up with him, and it's safe to say I will also be ending my friendships with my so-called friends. In all honesty, I wouldn't care if they were doing drugs as long as they were safe. In fact, I would have liked to be there just so I could keep an eye on them and make sure they stayed out of trouble. But oh well. Oh well indeed, these aren't the sort of people you want to be hanging around. Some final comments. This might be the worst group of friends I've read about on this sub. Total bastards. With friends like these, who needs enemies? Oh sorry, that doesn't actually say enemies, it says anemones. My brother and friends did that to me. I had a ticket to see a concert they were going to, but they'd decided they were going to be totally messed up the whole time and didn't want me to ruin their fun, so they ditched me at home and I never got to see that band. I wasn't even going to be sitting near them. 10 years later, and I wonder where everyone is now. Really concerning that her ex and friends were prioritizing getting hard drugs and not feeling judged, but it's good that she left them behind. And someone adds, I'm sure that group is much smaller at this point. Yeah, make with that what you will. Anyway guys, that's it for that story. As always, give me your thoughts down below and we'll move on once again. Okay, still on relationships, this one was written by user Silent Hope, and it's titled, I found a photo of a woman in my dad's wallet. I was at visiting my parents this week, and my dad was working on his car and asked me to take his wallet and pay for a delivery. I did that, but I also noticed two small pictures. One was of mum and dad, cute, and another was of a woman I'd never seen before. Both the pictures were really old. She's not related to us as she's from a different ethnic group. I know it's none of my business and it's probably nothing, but it raises so many questions in my mind. My parents are happily married. I don't believe he cheated or is cheating on her, but my mind is going into overdrive thinking about this. This woman clearly means something to him. On one hand, I think I may be better off not bringing it up, but at the same time I feel awkward talking about it to him. My mind keeps jumping to awful conclusions, and I don't want this to affect us. I'm really struggling with this decision. I mean, if it really is that old a picture and it's been in his wallet for that long, I doubt he'd be hiding something. Let's see what the comments think. If it were me, I would just ask him. There's probably an innocent explanation. If you're worried about him denying it, you could take a photo of the picture in his wallet as proof. It's likely just a friend you're not familiar with. Probably a childhood friend that died or something along those lines. One thing you learn as you get older is that your parents are people too. They are complex and have parts of their lives that they do not want to share with us. This includes previous loves and people of importance that they never feel like sharing or speaking about out loud. I'm sure your mother knows the picture is there and even knows the story behind it. Surely she has handled his wallet many times. Feel free to ask him and perhaps he will share. I have a feeling there's a special story there. It seems to me it would be pretty risky to keep a photo that you don't want your wife to see in your wallet. At some point you're going to ask your wife to grab some money out of your wallet, so my guess would be your mum knows who the woman is. Whether or not you want to know is a slightly different story. It's probably innocent, but there's a possibility it changes how you see your dad in some way. Do you want that knowledge? Given how casually he asked you to get money from his wallet, there's probably a perfectly innocent explanation. I would ask him personally. Yeah, pretty unanimous. Okay, an update, 6 days later. I'm really grateful for the advice I received. I decided to ask him about it last week when I was over their house. It turned out it was a picture of his fiancée who had passed away after an accident. He had completed his undergrad and master's in another country. They had met in the first month of college and instantly fell in love. They stayed together while they completed their education, and he had proposed after he got a good job. She passed away just 3 weeks after they'd gotten engaged. He decided to move back as he wanted to spend time with family. I would have never guessed this. He's always been a chilled out person, always happy and calm, and I can't imagine how he could overcome losing someone he planned to build his life with at such a young age. I teared up a little when he was talking about it, which is a bit silly, while he was very calm and collected. I am a bit guilty for jumping to the worst conclusion quickly, and without Reddit's advice I would not have had the courage to ask him about it. And one comment says, sometimes kids have to understand that their parents had and still have parts of their lives that don't belong to their kids. Frankly, those parts of their lives only belong to them. Wow, this just hit me to the core. After my father's passing, I struggled a lot with this feeling I didn't completely know him as a person, despite always being in my life and an awesome dad. This just put it in perspective. Yeah, agreed, and what a great way of looking at things. Very rarely will you ever know the true burden that people carry around with them from day to day. And it's so true in regards to people's lives before you knew them. What are your thoughts, guys? Let me know down below in the comments. Maybe you got a similar story you'd like to share. Either way, that's it from me today. Hope you enjoyed those ones. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.